The Colossus of Rhodes was originally created around 280 BC on the island of Rhodes and was built by a Greek sculptor that went by the name Charles of Lindos, who was a native of Rhodes. The enormous bronze statue was believed to be his greatest accomplishment, though it is believed that Charles did not live to see his project finished. There are several legends stating that he actually committed suicide because the statue had a small flaw in its construction, and the sculptor was so ashamed that he ended up killing himself. The statue stood around 110 feet tall on a 50-foot platform. Its history is shrouded in mystery, and is believed that it was not only created to commemorate the island's patron god Helios, the sun god, but also because of their successful defense against a siege that was led by the Macedonians. The purpose of the Colossus was to celebrate a victory and the island of Rhodes' freedom. Through the spoils of war melted down many weapons that were left over. This became the material that would be used for the Colossus of Rhodes. In 357 BC, the island of Rhodes was conquered by Mausolus, who was a ruler of Caria. After his passing, it eventually fell into the Persian hands in 340 BC and was captured by Alexander the Great in 332 BC. When Alexander passed, it was split by Alexander's three major generals, Ptolemy, Seleucus, and Antigus. The people of Rhodes wholeheartedly supported Ptolemy, which angered Antigus to the point where his son Demetrius was sent to capture and punish the city of Rhodes. Demetrius' army was 40,000 strong, which was more than the population of Rhodes. The war with Demetrius was a very tough and long battle for Rhodes. Rhodes didn't have sturdy walls to keep the attackers at bay, and Demetrius had built siege towers that were ironically destroyed by weather at the time in Rhodes. The Helepolis was a siege tower that was translated to Taker of Cities. It stood 150 feet high and 75 feet at the base. It was a massive siege weapon that was mounted on wheels and was used by Demetrius during the war in Rhodes. It's ironic that the Helepolis, the tool that was supposed to be used to take down the village, only became the template for the symbolic representation of victory and peace through the island of Rhodes. The picture shown is of a model Helepolis. The position that is commonly depicted to be where the Colossus of Rhodes stood is not really possible because of the harbor-driven economy that Rhodes had. Closing the harbor to build such a monument would have had an impact on every bit of trade they had. So overall, the Colossus of Rhodes would have been more comparable to how the Statue of Liberty stands, on a base, not really spread open across the harbor.
The Colossus of Rhodes was built approximately from 292 to 280 BC, though little is known about it since it collapsed by an earthquake on the island in 226 BC. Thus, it left the city's docks cluttered by its gigantic pieces for approximately a millennium, so these parts had to be melted down to keep in order the city around the mid-7th century. The city-state already had plenty of money from its lucrative control of trade, and there seemed no better way to spend this new windfall than on a massive statue in honor of their patron god. A move which celebrated the island's hard-won freedom and which might perhaps perpetuate the good times the island was enjoying in the 4th century BC. The city or island of Rhodes has been a very well-known place throughout its history, due to its attractive beaches, a rich history and culture, and its well-advanced civilization. Out of more than 3,000 statues in the city, only one was eye-catching to the general public, the Colossus of Rhodes. People saw it as a masterpiece due to its material, which was bronze, its beauty, and its size, which is interestingly not far behind the Statue of Liberty, from 98.4 feet to 111.5. Both monuments were built as symbols of freedom. The Statue of Liberty has also been referred as the modern Colossus. There is also a plaque inside the pedestal of Statue of Liberty that is inscribed with a sonnet called the New Colossus, not like the brazen giant of Greek fame. Furthermore, the Rhodians valued this statue in respect to Helios. Ptolemy III, the king of Egypt, offered to pay for the Colossus reconstruction, but the Rhodians refused because they believed that Helios, being angered by the construction of the statue, was the one who caused the earthquake that destroyed it.